So it's actually 6 a.m. I'm talking a little bit quieter because there's a big group of scouts that are camping near me. But I'm gonna get up and get packed up and get out of here because Kurt invited me to go have coffee in the morning with all the guys from the museum. So I'm gonna go do that because it sounds exciting. Yes, it is really cold. And I know it's gonna get hotter later. So, 2 outfit changes today. In May 2016, I made a decision to quit my job and hit the road for 2.5 months. In total, I did 6,700 miles. I was gone for 70 days. This was my pilgrimage. Day 32 of the pilgrimage. That's right, I set my alarm and I woke up 2 hours earlier than I normally would have in order to meet Fritz and the museum crew at the Star Bakery in Nevada City for breakfast at 7 a.m. After a little bit of interviewing, I was essentially adopted by these incredible people, and it was amazing. It was easily one of my favorite things that happened to me on this trip. They dressed me up in period clothing and they gave me a little apprentice pin, and I got to follow everybody around like a puppy while I learned tons of stuff about the 1860s. There isn't a ton of footage of this because, you know, we're supposed to be period correct, so no cell phones, no cameras, just trust that it was awesome. Meanwhile, my papa was on the warpath to try to find me a bike that was more suited to dual sporting than Lazarus. So he had made me an appointment with some guy to look at a KLR in Dillon. So I had to very, very reluctantly leave my museum family and go to Dillon to look at a KLR. I tried so hard to keep it together. I went around and said goodbye to everybody. But by the time that I got to Fritz to say goodbye, I was just bawling and I couldn't quit, like, on the way back to my bike. I was just like waterfall tears. The most amazing thing about traveling is also a two-edged sword. On one hand, you get to meet amazing people that you connect with on another level that make life amazing while you're getting to know them and just leave incredibly lasting impressions on you. On the other hand, you only get to know those people for a very, very short time. And it makes having to say goodbye incredibly heartbreaking and awful. I went into this trip knowing only about 1 or 2 other people who lived in a different part of the state than my family. Now I have friends all over the place, and all I can think about is how the hell am I going to get back to those places so that I can see them again? Oh, for those who are wondering about the KLR, I went to Dillon. I tried to sit on it because I was like, okay, I'm going to test ride this bike. It's going to be great. He even put the lowering kit on it, like, it's ready. And I put my leg over it, tiptoe, like 1 foot could tiptoe. I couldn't even touch both feet at the same time. I apologized to the guy for wasting his time, and we shared stories about doing stupid things on bikes that weren't made to go off-road. The guy was really great, and he gave me his number, and he's like, so, you know, if anything happens or you break down around here, just let me know and I'll come get you. And I was like, cool, instant new friend. So I left Dillon and decided, you know, I'm close enough, I might as well just like book it to Bannack and just camp there. And when I got to the campground, I passed some guy on a Tiger that was setting up camp, and he waved at me, and I was like, hi, dude. And I went around the campsite to a different camp spot. He walked all the way across the campground to come and talk to me and was like, hey, we're both doing the moto camp thing. Why don't we just share a spot and share the cost? And that's when I found out that he was an out-of-stater. And if you don't know, if you have Montana state plates, camping at the Bannack campground is only like $18. But if you have out-of-state plates, it's like $28. You know, $9 is still better than 18 for me. Went over to the campground host and convinced them that this guy that I just met on Tiger is my uncle. He was a cool dude. And we shared the campfire and some food, and we exchanged motor adventure stories, and we explored Bannack together the next morning before we went our separate directions. Day 33 of the pilgrimage. I want you to know that there are no signs saying that you can't drive a motor vehicle on the strip in Bannack. So the next morning, Tiger Guy and I went to go and explore the town site, right? and they had just finished Bannack days, so the gate was open because they were clearing everything out. And I didn't think about it. So Tiger Guy went in and pulled into the parking lot. I was like, screw that. So I went straight to the gate, pulled up to a building, was gonna take a picture, and this ranger guy came out and was like, no, 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 you have to go back. And I was like, whoa, what? And he come up and he's like, there's no motor vehicles on the main drag. And I was like, okay, dude. I still am kicking myself for not just jumping off the bike and taking the picture while I was right there. I was good, and I went back to the parking lot and I parked the bike and I walked in like a good, nice person. After leaving Bannack and Tiger Guy, I went off to find Coolidge, which is a ghost town on the Pioneer Mountain Scenic Byway. Coolidge is normally a 3/4 of a mile hike into the town site. So I parked the bike and got ready to start hiking, and I went up to the sign to read all the safety stuff, and I noticed that it had a little thing that had a snowmobile and a motorcycle on it. It's like, oh shit, yes. Just in case you were wondering, you can take a motorcycle or a snowmobile up to the Coolidge town site, and it is way better than walking. The other tourists that I met at the town site were definitely jealous of my awesomeness. After I wandered around Coolidge, I pretty much just booked it home. I don't know if I was just that road tired or if my brain was like in shock because there was only one day left. I did run out of gas just outside of Wisdom, but I had the extra fuel tank on the back of my bike and it wasn't a big deal. I just filled it back up again, and when I went to get back on again, I had parked it in kind of a ditch and I dumped it in the ditch. I picked it back up, no problem. Basically hauled ass home.